What do you think about? What do you think about Elon, SpaceX, NASA? We put humans back up there. From the
My
flight.
theory. So it's funny because I know one of the guys that was one of the original employees at SpaceX.
Mm-hmm.
He's a friend of mine, and I won't say his name, but he knows Elon. He knows Elon, and he actually worked on the entire Falcon 1 project. He's one of the lead guys on that. So he's got some great. As a matter of fact, there's a book coming out that comes out in about a year on this. The first 6 years of SpaceX, and he's named in the book. And they're supposed to make a movie on it. So I'm like, hey, who's going to play it?
Cool.
But what he's done, to me, it changed the game, and here's why.
Yeah.
Because I said, I think it was 1962 when Eisenhower warned of the industrial defense complex, which it has become everything he warned us of, it has become. And it's really driven by, there's the big three in defense, which is really, Northrop, Lockheed, and Boeing. Those are your biggest. Raytheon's kind of like a subset of that, but Raytheon's pretty big too. But in U.S. defense, those are the big guys, right? That's actually where a lot of military guys go when they retire. They go do stuff like that. So, when you look at that and you go, and the way government contracting is working and how we charge and, why things cost so much. And then you got Elon, who's got an ego, and he doesn't like to do things a certain way. And I've talked to the guy that worked there on, because the government likes to have oversight of contracts, where he was like, no, just tell me what you want. I'll build it and I'll give you a bill when it's done. And then if I do it for half the price, I make a ton of money because he's a money-driven guy, which I like. Capitalism at its best. So now you look at the two things. So you got the SpaceX, which is the Dragon capsule, right? And then you've got Boeing. So Elon did what Boeing is contracted to do in less time for half the money.
Yep.
And oh, by the way, because he can reuse the boosters because they come back and land, and you don't have to, like Morton Thiokol, we reused them on the space shuttle, but they had to take them all apart and do a bunch of stuff because they landed in salt water, and then you had to put them all back together. Where Elon gets them down, because I was joking with this guy, I go, well, what do they do? Do they like rehaul, overhaul them? He goes, no, actually they clean them up and they can use them again. They're reusable systems. Incredible leap in technology that no one thought of, but here's a private company. So being able to put people in the capsule and the spacesuits, I mean, it's literally like sci-fi when you watch when they went up. So I'm a huge fan of what he and his company have been able to do, because the fact that we were paying huge amounts of money to the Russian government, and oh, by the way, if you didn't know, because I have some friends that are astronauts, they all have to learn Russian, right? They have to do, it's level 5, where the test is a phone call, where they call you up and they, because they would go. So I went to the pinning, and two friends of mine. The one actually had a mission date. The one got one later. So it's cool when you're watching your friends doing a spacewalk, because I would pull up, because if I knew it was going on, I'd pull up the NASA thing. I was in a meeting one day and I've got NASA on and Maker's out there floating around, doing his stuff. And I saw one, he's in the space station while they're doing a spacewalk. So it's kind of cool when you go, oh yeah, I know that dude. He's up there in space floating around. So when you look at what they're capable of doing, and then you go, what Elon is bringing to the fact that now it's back in America. It's actually, to me, it's cost effective for us to be able to do more stuff. I think it opens the door to, do we go back to the moon? Is there a reason to go back to the moon? Personally, I think if they're really going to go, in years from now, go to Mars, I think that the moon is the stepping stone to go back, to start proving some of the technology, to go, hey, we can build this, we can get on the moon, and now we can get back off the moon. Because we did this on less than a compact computer in the 60s, which is the whole reason that I flew, because I'm obsessed. Matter of fact, I have the giant Lego Apollo at home, and the lander, and I have one that my dad built me in 1969 right after that. And Neil Armstrong's an Ohio boy, and so am I. Matter of fact, I have a picture of him in a car in Wapakoneta, Ohio at the parade after he walked on the moon, because his parents didn't live far from my aunt and uncle in Wapakoneta, and they were out at the parade. So I've been obsessed with this since I was a child.
Do you hope that you'll go out to space one day?
Me, if I had the opportunity, I'd go in a second. I am not.
Because I mean, that's one of the hopes of the commercial space flight, is that, like people like, I mean, it would be tourism, but you certainly wouldn't want to, in terms of, you're now kind of a civilian, right? I mean, in a sense that you're just a normal person. You're not a fighter jet pilot currently, but it seems like if we send a civilian up there, it would be somebody like you, in the next like 20 years.
I'd be, if Elon wants to throw me on one of those things, I'd be all over it. I don't know what my wife would say, but sometimes you gotta get your kicks while you're alive.
I'd love to hear that discussion with your wife. Listen, there's the pros and cons.
She's. I mean, I've known
She's
her
on
since
board.
high school, so she knows how I am.
Yeah.
Most people that know me are like, yeah, you're pretty much the same person you were in high school. I was a class clown, and I still am that way. So
let me ask you this question about. So I'm talking to Elon again soon. I'm curious to get your perspective on it. If I wanted to talk to him about Tic Tac, about these weird out there propulsion ideas, which are obviously, just like you said, if there's something to it, if it can be investigated somehow, it would be extremely useful for us to understand in the effort of developing propulsion systems that can get us cheaply out to space. What should Elon think about this stuff? What should he do? What should people like him?
I think people need to open their aperture up and stay off of, take the next step and go, we are tied to fuels in either solid rocket or liquid or, whatever we do, but it's a thrust generated where we rapidly expand gas to create thrust. Just really in layman's terms, we can get into what, but that's what it does. If you have something that you can contain that is a fuel source that would last a significant amount of time, those rocket boosters go, and when they're done, they're done. There's enough to get them back down. That's it. There's not a huge, they're not coming back and go, oh, I still got 3/4 of a tank. Let's bolt them on and do it again. His system's not doing that. But the way contracting, especially in the government has tons of money, but you got to remember the government has to justify how they spend our tax dollars for the most part. There's times where they can hide money in the budget to get stuff done. But then when you look at, and I'm just going to throw a few out there, but if you look at what Amazon, does with Bezos, and you've got Elon, there's some big money out there.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking, Bezos alone could buy companies like big companies. Apple's another one. These companies got huge, huge amounts of money, and then just go over to the Gates Foundation, and they've got gazillions and gazillions of dollars. We've got universities. There's so much money out there. If we really wanted to do it, aside from what the government wants to do, because we do live in a free society, I think there's enough to go, how do we do this? And because when you work outside of what the government would want to do, we're not working on this necessarily for the United States, although I am a huge giant. I will be
American.
I would never. Yeah, I am an American.
You're talking to somebody born in the Soviet Union.
So,
I can't believe you agreed to this.
But when
haven't killed me yet.
Yeah, well, you're here.
What? Yeah,
and you've been here for a while.
No, I'm joking. I'm American citizen. I'm actually pretty much American.
But see, when you do that, so you let's just look at American universities.
Yes.
So there's some brilliant minds, and we'll just use MIT because you work down there. Yeah. There's some brilliant minds, but there's a huge chunk of those brilliant minds that are not American citizens. So if you want to get into government stuff and you are not an American citizen, it gets really, really, really hard. But if I take money like Bezos money, Elon money, and let's just say they want to work together, they can split it up 50-50, the two of them, when the technology gets developed. But now I'm not constrained by who has to do the work. I just want to make sure that I try and keep it in the United States, because technology is technology. And if it gets developed and gets over to where, a country gets a hold of it and then just basically uses it for their own, because you save them all the research time, you don't want to do that. But if we can get to the point where we do it on the International Space Station. We realized that space was too expensive for one country to do alone. So we made the International Space Station, and we have a conglomerate. It's the one thing that the Russians and the U.S. actually work together on. Mm-hmm. Think about it. That's it. We work together on space because we realized it's way too expensive for us to do alone and effective. So we've got this thing that's been out there floating around for God, now what is it, like 20 years that thing's been up there floating around? So it's getting old. We're going to have to replace parts and do stuff. But if we can pool the money together and come up with something that would literally change mankind and change travel and allow us to actually do a more effective thing of exploring. Because if you develop that technology, you don't even have to send a manned person. If you can develop a technology that's and with our automation and where we're progressing and our computing power, to send something out that's not just floating around when, that can react a lot quicker, something that could actually go down to the surface and come back up. So right now, everything we get out of Mars, it goes down there and then it just sends data back. It analyzes. But if I've got a technology that can go up there really quick, I'm not worried about man. I don't have life support systems and all that, but it can go down, it can go, it can cruise around, it can hover above, it can take samples, and it can actually take Martian soil and then bring it back.
Yeah.
So we can analyze it here. That's a game changer.
Yeah.
It's a complete game changer because it opens up all the planets.
Exactly. So in a sense, the Tic Tac is a symbol. So whatever you think, even from a debunking perspective, there's a non-zero probability that it's alien technology. And in that sense, it serves as a beacon of hope and a reason to, like you said, widen the aperture and to invest big amounts of money into thinking outside the box. Like it's almost a hope to say we can do better propulsion. We can overcome physics in an order of magnitude better way. And it's worthwhile to try.
I think, and I don't think the money, if you look at the big picture with the amount of money, some that's out there floating around these private companies, I think if you said, hey, I've got, let's just say $100 million, which really $100 million relative to Bezos has got what, 100 and some billion dollars in net worth. Yeah. So if he said, hey, $100 million, you drop $100 million, and I go, and I'm going to put like the government will send a broad area announcement out that says, hey, we're looking for this technology, or a DARPA program. But what if I just said, hey, who's to stop Bezos and Elon from doing that on their own to say, hey, I want to go pool universities because they have fewer restrictions because it's not tax dollars. They don't have the checks and balances. They can do whatever they want. It's their money. Oh, sorry about that. To go, hey, I'm going to put this out and I'm going to get the best physicists that are working at CERN, that are at MIT, that are at Caltech, at the schools I mentioned. And oh, by the way, a few of these guys are propulsion experts. And I'm going to fund you guys for 10 years. So you get $10 million a year, and I'm going to give you your salaries, and we're going to do that, or whatever the amount works. So let's cut it down to 5 so we can pay you well, right? To do the research. But oh, by the way, the research it's not classified, but it's controlled. So we're not going to publicly just put this out in journals. But if we make a leap that we think would advance, because although let's say there's 10 of them, those 10 scientists come up with something and they put out a paper, there might be a number 11 at another university that reads that paper and says, hey, I kind of had this idea, and now you can get a thought pool that pushes us in and gets us out of the mindset, because we have a tendency we evolve the stuff that we create. But it's like I was joking because, I know a ton of guys with PhDs and girls. And I said, but how much, when a person gets a PhD in like engineering, how much new math is really being done? I said, there's a handful of people in the world that are really doing, I'm talking Stephen Hawking's type brilliance that is going, I'm really doing something that's totally different.
That's a big dramatic thing now going on in physics, that everybody's converged towards this local minima or local maximum, however you think about it. And it's again, same as with the Tic Tac, thinking outside the box is not accepted, and it probably should be.
But it's hard, because if you go back to Einstein, back to the original, he was out of the box. Yeah. He did not think
That's
the norm.
True genius.
Had he not thought out of the box and came up with some of his theories, where would we be?